This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. A-made, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A-game, better bring your A-game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. A-made, no rain.
Hey, now it's the Mike and JD show, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always by JD, by God Oliva. We're here on a Sunday night. JD, how are you doing?
Good, man. I was busy all weekend, this time of year, wrestling.
Yeah.
Finished my finals last week. Pretty stoked about that. One more semester left, and I'll have a master's degree. So just can't wait to get that done.
Yeah.
So
I'm in the midst of my my last two classes for my master's degree. And I'm going to focus on that while I also focus on trying to retire from the military. So I got that to look forward to coming up. Quick explanation as to why we're on a Sunday and not our usual Thursday night time slot. So despite the fact that I'm retiring, I was asked to come to a meeting at the very end of the day that lasted almost 2 hours. It's like, you guys are killing me. And it happened to be like, not only did I want to come to do this podcast, it was like the meeting was going on while playing. So like I'm getting like super irritated at this point. I really didn't have like an agenda for the show ready yet. I didn't know what to talk about. I knew there was some stuff going on, but I just wasn't prepared. And then my wife was needing me to come home because she wasn't able to get anything done because the baby was being needy, as babies will do, right? Like, but he was just like nonstop eating, and he wouldn't let her set him down. So I needed to take over the baby. So I just texted JD. I was like, bro, we got to push this thing to Sunday. And he was more than happy to do that because you were pretty freaking busy yourself, right?
Yeah, it was a crazy week. I said I had my finals last week. We have our finals for the school this week. So my classes don't really have finals. Like we just have projects that are due. So it's not a big deal on that end, but it's just a lot, just a lot going on at the school right now. I had to do a presentation for the school board for our video production program last week. Then kids wrestling. It's a lot, so it's good. I was okay pushing to Sunday this week. It worked out just fine for me.
Yeah. And it also helps that so if we do it Sunday, Dave's Observer will be out. It's like, okay, we can poach the news. So that was good because up until that point, like as of Thursday night, there wasn't like a crap ton to talk about. And then Friday morning, all hell breaks loose on the internet because TNA got their CM Punk back. TNA got their problem child, their pain in the ass. She's really a blessing to my YouTube thumbnails because boy, oh boy, is she driving some business for us. So God bless her for it. But man, Tessa Blanchard is back. I did a live stream on Friday that's done really well. And also obviously did my regular Brace for Impact show yesterday, and I invited our buddy Lucha Doncic, who has been banging the Tessa Blanchard drum
for years.
2020. Since 2020, somebody said, Io sent me his tweet from 2020 where he's like, mark my words, she's coming back. It took a while, but he never lost hope. She is back. And the internet has taken that story by storm. Everybody seeking some self-validation has decided to comment on the whole thing. But and sure enough, so did I. And I've also taken the opportunity to stir shit, believe it or not. Like,
shocking.
Yeah. But it was a big story. She came back. She returned at Final Resolution. She confronted Jordan Grace, and it looks like that's going to be the match that they're going to do at the pay-per-view coming up in January, which would probably be a pretty incredible match. Trying to do like a worked shoot deal there between the two of them. And I think they're leaking some information to the sheets, saying that they don't like each other. So some of that stuff has come out. So. What do you think of this whole Tessa Blanchard thing, coming back and being welcomed back by a televised American wrestling promotion?
She fucked up, right? Just up for money. Then we found out she was saying some controversial take on these.
Hey, JD, hold on. I need you to you're cutting out again. I don't know. I can't hear anything that you're saying right now.
What? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's fine.
All right. I think I lost JD. Yep. Lost JD. All right. Well, this is the problem with live internet television, folks. We if we have to depend on our internet, sometimes we just go out. Sometimes we have to eat shit sometimes. So here, I'm gonna go to the chat real quick while JD gets his internet fixed. Anonymous says, if Tessa is beating Jordan on her way to WWE, if Tessa is on her best behavior, could you see them possibly running a rematch down the line when Jordan gets the win back? I think the idea is that Jordan's putting over everybody on her way out. She's lost to Masha Slamovich a couple times. She lost to recently she lost to Tasha Steelz of all people. She didn't lose to Rosemary on Friday night, but I think that's kind of what they were going for. But I don't see a world where Jordan Grace gets the win back. Now, could they have Jordan pin Tessa first as like a sign of good faith, and then Tessa gets the win back? I could see that. But I have talked about Tessa ad nauseum, and I'm hoping that JD comes back because I really want to hear what JD has to say. Terrence Sullivan in the chat. Terrence says, "What's good, fellas? What's up, my brother? How you doing, man? Thanks for being here on a random Sunday night with us." Lil Silva says, TNA updated the complete history of Tessa. Yeah, I mean, they're going all in with Tessa. They're going all in. Jordan Grace, if she refuses to fight Tessa, she doesn't have to face her. She could say, F you, I'm going to WWE. Yeah, I mean, like Jordan Grace, I've said it time and time again. Jordan Grace has all the leverage. So if this was something she didn't want to do, she wouldn't have to do it. She's got the leverage in the situation, and no one would blame her if she did not want to take the match. No one would blame her at all. Anonymous says, I think they want to run Tessa versus Masha for UBS Arena. I think that's as far as females go. I think Masha and Tessa would be the match to go to for the UBS Arena in New York when they run that for Slammiversary. All right, JD, I think you're back. I think you're clear. All right, let's get your thoughts on this whole Tessa deal because I think everybody's already heard what I have to say.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Trying to make my phone a hotspot. We'll see if that works. I have a super hot take on this. Like I said before, as I got before I got off, she held TNA up for more money to lose the title. She said some really vile things in the locker rooms. She was a genuinely unlikable person. And then I feel like she's the one person who has successfully got canceled in pro wrestling. Right?
It's probably her, David Starr, Joey Ryan, and Marty Scurll. Yeah.
Jimmy Havoc, maybe.
Yeah. And of the four, I would say like she is like, she didn't do anything nowhere near as bad as those guys. Let's just put it that way.
She used words that were vile.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think she should not work forever. I'm a firm believer that the system is built around the fact that people can learn and can grow and can change. Right. I'm a teacher. Like I believe these things. If we can't reach people and they can't change, then we failed. Like I look at like a guy like a Jay Briscoe, who everyone kind of admits it was he did some stupid things, but was punished for way too long. Yeah. And it hurt the legacy and the family and all that stuff for, something that he genuinely apologized for. I think that if Tessa Blanchard has shown genuine remorse and wants to move forward, I don't think we should punish her forever by canceling her career. Like, I don't. I think now if you give her another shot and she proves to be a bad person still, okay, then go ahead and, cast her out. But I mean, I can't fault someone trying to be better. I just can't.
Yeah. Here's my thoughts. It's a very risky move by TNA considering the reason why she left in the first place, which wasn't because of her behavior in the locker room. As far as I know, she was fine in the TNA locker room back in the day. The issues that she had was more overseas and independent locker rooms with some of the women. Right. That's where a lot of that stuff came from, is what her days on the independents and working in Japan. where she was, called a bully and a racist. She said she got into an altercation with a girl named La Rosa Negra, and she said the word in that altercation and spit in her face, and that was the accusation. Since then, her and La Rosa Negra have made up. In fact, Rosa tweeted a picture of her and Tessa a year ago and said they were cool. It was like a year and a half ago. Now Tessa had what Tessa hasn't done is she hasn't gone on a public apology tour, and apologized to everybody in public. It's one of those things where CM Punk said that the apology should be as loud as the disrespect. In this case, her disrespect was in private, and it was brought to the public by the people that she offended. So I don't know that it warrants her, going around and apologizing to everybody on social media. Some people just aren't built that way. And some people make amends through actions, right? And they change their life and they live better. They're not really good at addressing those situations. And she's chosen not to do that publicly. That is her right. It's her prerogative. For the people that have tried to get rid of her, I think Larry Dallas said this on Twitter. You have gotten rid of her. You won. Now she's back in TNA, but TNA is like their footprint is significantly less than AEW and WWE. The money potential, the money earning potential in TNA is significantly less than what she would be able to make in AEW and WWE. She's not in AEW or WWE, yet you're still trying to keep your foot on this lady's neck. So look, and I get it if you're a TNA fan and you don't want her in the company because of holding people up, but if you don't want her there because she was rude to people while she was on the independents, like you're not going to see or experience any of those things. She's not going to come through the TV and do those things to you. So I don't really understand why you would not want to watch a television show because Tessa Blanchard is on the television show. That I don't get. It makes no sense to me. It's like, well, I heard she was rude to people on the independents and she said some vile stuff to somebody overseas. So therefore I'm not going to watch the television show. And I'm like, you didn't see any of that. You didn't witness any of that. You didn't experience any of that. And she's not going to come through the TV and do any of those things to you. I don't understand why that is such a thing. And I don't understand why she has been canceled for as long as she has. She deserves a path to redemption. Now I get it. She hasn't gone on a public apology tour. I understand that part. I think it would be better if she did. Some people just ain't built that way. She appears to be one of those people. But look, Lucha Blog was saying it on, he wrote a column about it. She's been in CMLL for over a year, and apparently they loved her there. They wanted to keep her around. In fact, she was a tag team champion there. And I think the reason why she left CMLL is because she asked if she can do TNA and do both. And I could be, if somebody in the chat read that article, I read it yesterday, I might be misremembering, but the way that I took it from Lucha Blog is the reason why she left CMLL is because she asked if she can do both TNA and CMLL told her no. And she ultimately decided to go with TNA. Now, she didn't drop the tag team titles, much like Stephanie Vaquer, like back-to-back. I don't know if that was an agreement she had with CMLL. I don't know if they got burned. I don't know anything. I don't think CMLL holds those tag titles in high regard.
Or any of their titles.
Right. It seems to be a paperweight, to be honest with you. That's my read on it. I am not that embedded into the culture of CMLL. I don't quite know their deal. The last time I watched their show is because AEW stars were in the main event. So, like, that's my knowledge of CMLL. So I could be completely talking out of my ass, but that's my read on the situation. So now, like, to JD's point, is she not supposed to ever work again? It's not like she's getting paid millions of dollars here and is like a completely successful person. In fact, I think she's been punished because she would be a multimillionaire at this point if she didn't do the things she did. She's been held accountable. Let's see what she's got. Let's give her another opportunity. And if it blows up in TNA's face, which I think if I were a betting man, I would bet on that because it's happened to her in TNA, it happened to her in WWE, and it happened to her in WoW Superheroes. She just happened to have a good run in CMLL where it worked out.
Mm-hmm. And the WoW Superheroes thing, I mean, that was a disaster to begin with. I don't know. I don't know, man. I can't fault them for trying again. And for her, it's probably, she sees it as a door back toward working to WWE, which I'm sure is kind of what. And if that doesn't work out, I'm sure she can see it as a springboard, maybe to come into AEW finally. Like, I think she needs this. I think this could be her apology tour, this TNA thing. And I think I hate work shoots, but I think I think there probably is more money in her not apologizing right now and to try to stoke some flames a little bit. Because I don't think one person's not going to watch TNA because Tessa's back. I don't think that's real. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I think people. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well,
Sorry.
I think that's people that are just want to be angry that aren't watching the product to begin with. You know, I don't think they're going to lose a single viewer because of Tessa Blanchard. If anything, they're going to excite their fan base.
Yeah, and if anybody's wondering why TNA would bring her back, well, Jordan Grace is leaving, and they don't have anybody there to replace her. And Tessa's the only thing that comes close. Now, Jordan's a bigger star now than Tessa. Tessa is now, right? But Tessa is the second biggest ratings draw in the history of Anthem-owned Impact. Since, or at least Impact on Access TV. I pulled up the numbers from WrestleNomics in preparation. I actually prepared for this. Her average total viewership from her run as the top star on Impact on Access TV, which was just a few month period, because they got on Access TV in late 2019, and then the pandemic hit in spring of 2020, and then she just never came back. The average is 196,000 viewers, which is pretty incredible for that station. The highest rated show that they did with her on it as her the top star was December 10th, 2019, which was 220,000 viewers. That is the second highest rated episode of Impact on Access TV, only behind the Kenny Omega episode, which got 222,000 viewers. Now I know that Kenny Omega, the replay episode was actually, what's that?
The Wrestle House episode.
The Wrestle House. The replay of that episode was higher, and then they put it on the internet, so the cumulative was a lot more than 222 for the Kenny Omega. But if you're talking about just a first run episode, that's what the comparator is. That's what ad revenue is driven from. It's Kenny Omega at 222. It's Tessa Blanchard at 220, right? I didn't go over Kenny Omega's average rating because it was not good, because he never got back over 200,000, but Tessa had several episodes over 200,000. Right in there in that 190, 196 range was the average. And Kenny Omega, his second best one that he was on was like 168. I took a look at it. There was an episode before that where the main event was Juice Robinson, was Finn Juice versus, I can't remember the episode, that got almost 200,000, but Kenny Omega wasn't on that episode. So Tessa Blanchard is the last time that they've actually had a big ratings draw. After that, her run as champion in February was the last episode before the pandemic, and then you get into March and it's like pandemic, and then the ratings completely fall off a cliff until Kenny Omega comes in, and then he only really popped a couple of numbers on Access TV, and then that was the end of it.
Couple things. One, you talk about ad revenue with Access TV. There is no ad revenue with Access TV. So I mean, like that's kind of that's kind of a non-diploma. Pandemic era wrestling TV ratings sucked everywhere. Yeah, because nobody wanted to watch empty arena wrestling. So I think you're comparing apples and crab apples a little bit there. Like Kenny Omega and TNA is interesting, but it's still in an era where nobody was really watching a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, no, that is true. I'm just saying the last time they had anybody that was averaging those kind of numbers was Tessa's era, right? And then the pandemic hit, and then everything falls off a cliff. Kenny Omega brought him back for a couple of episodes, but that was really it, right? And so they're looking at it as like, okay, we're back. We got hot crowds and bigger crowds than we ever had before. And can we bring back the greatest ratings draw in the history of our TV show on our network? I think that's why they're doing it. Scott D'Amore's gone, so he's not there to make the decision. This is the bean counters. This is the people that are like looking at the numbers. So I'm just trying to like, why would they want to bring her back? Well, if we take a look at the numbers, she was successful for them at the early stages of Impact on Access TV, and they've never been able to get back there since then.
Yeah, for multitude reasons. I can't hate people trying to give someone a shot. Like, of all the people in wrestling that have gotten a shot again after screwing up, her dad famously made a big mistake and never got another shot again. Like, Tully Blanchard's the only professional wrestler of the 80s that actually got punished for doing cocaine. Like, really, really punished. He failed a BS drug test and couldn't get a job again in mainstream pro wrestling.
Yeah, he was notoriously a pain in the ass, much like his offspring.
Apples and trees.
And so I think they use that as a way to like, okay, we're just not like, he's a He's a cocaine guy, so we're never going to bring him back. And I'm like, if you'd have taken a look at the roster when he tested positive for cocaine in 1990, it'd have been like 75%. 88.
Yeah.
He left, so he failed the cocaine test.
89, I'm sorry, 89. The test was 89. Yeah, coming back in 90. Yeah, you're gonna look at the WWF roster and like a roster feature Jake Roberts. Like, come on, man. And Roddy Piper. Like, come on. Like he's still like whoever like what's that?
I'm sorry, you're a better historian than me. So at that time, '89, the Brainbusters were looking to go back to WCW. And they had given their notice, and then while they gave the notice, they went ahead and did the cocaine test, knowing that Tully would fail it. And then and then they ended up bringing in Arn at significantly less money because of that, right? That was the whole story.
Arn didn't fail. Tully did. They brought Arn, like Jim Herd's a dickhead. So Jim Herd told Arn he's not as valuable without Tully. But Arn had already put his notice into WWF, and he already was unhappy with the money he was making in WWF. So Arn got fucked twice over. Yeah. Right. Tully, on the other hand, just didn't get his job back. So, and Jim Herd's like, we can't bring in a guy who just failed. Like the drug test is basically they did it to derail, to fuck with the Brainbusters for going back to WCW. Like that's one of the all-time greatest, like Vince McMahon is a petty piece of shit things. Like, but I mean, Tully made his own bed. Like he was a notorious asshole, you know, and his daughter's not terribly different. But I mean, like very famously, the money held up thing was from Magnum, right? Her stepdad, Magnum TA, told her to do that. So I mean, like, it's wild to think about that. My favorite match of all time, those two guys essentially raised a daughter. There's like a sitcom there somewhere along the lines. You know?
I think Jim Ross at one point was pitching like a reality show with the Magnum and Blanchard family. I guess the Terry Allen and the Tully Blanchard family, like being a blended family. It's so weird.
I would have watched that. I think that, I mean, as a wrestling fan, I think that's absolutely fascinating. But aside from that, I can't get mad at them for trying something, especially I think this is the year we're really going to see the effects, like the ripple effects of the WWE TNA relationship. I think you're going to, I think Joe Hendry's going to be there sooner rather than later. I think Jordan Grace is on her way out. Like, it's the kind of stuff we could expect.
Yeah. Joe Hendry's probably going to be over there at the end of 2025. Jordan Grace is going to be there next month. And I think so is Josh Alexander. I think he's going to go back and reform the North with Ethan Page. Gresham looks like he's on his way out. There's a couple other, but Gresham is like a pre-show guy, to be honest with you. He hasn't really had an effect on TNA. But lots of people are leaving, and they got to fill those, like Speedball's gone. They got to fill the roster back up. And so they went back to the Tessa well, which I think every promoter looking at like, hey, we're losing a bunch of talent. Here's our problem child. Let's break in case of emergency. And I think they're at that point because we covered it, last time we were here with BQ. They have some major arenas coming up. They got the Curtis Culware Center coming up in January. They got they're going to go play the USC Trojan basketball arena in April. They got the UBS arena, which is a 17,000 seater coming up in July. They got to fill those places up. And so who are they going to get? Well, Tessa's one of those people, and they're going to get anybody that they can to do this because they probably wrote some checks that they are not ready to cash just yet. They're taking some chances next year. They're trying to go big next year. So they got to bring in people.
Got to try. I think it remains to be seen whether or not Tessa's an arena draw. She did some decent rating stuff 5 years ago. So
they weren't selling hardly any tickets at all back then. And like that's what we're talking like in the hundreds.
Right. So like let's say like is she gonna matter much for tickets? I don't know, but the brand is hot. The brand is hot right now. But they're having a massive turnover. So let's kind of see where things are at in 4 months down the line. I think I do think we're gonna see another kind of an interesting first quarter 2025. I think these things are going to be very interesting in pro wrestling in general.
Yeah.
In the next few months. So I can't fault them on it. I can't tell someone they're never allowed to work again because they said something stupid. If everybody held everything stupid I've ever said against me, I would be unemployable.
She's not, as far as I know, she's not a criminal, right? She just happens to be a pain in the ass and a rude person. Pains in the asses and rude people can learn and change and grow through lived experience and harmful consequences, which she's had both, right? She absolutely was blackballed from the business for 5 years. And TNA is not the first company to give her another shot. It's CMLL. So if you want to blame anybody, blame AEW partner CMLL. Do that. So But they're the ones that rehabbed her, and TNA is bringing her in. So,
But I mean,
we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, see how it works out. Like I said, if she's a pain in the ass again, okay, you tried and it didn't work. Like it's funny you mentioned CM Punk before. The apology has to be as loud as the disrespect. That guy never apologized to anybody.
No,
and he's a gigantic pain in the ass, and he's gotten opportunity after opportunity. Like, and there's a lot of people that have said very vile things on the male side of things who've gotten numerous opportunities. Randy Orton is a god amongst men in WWE, and he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
Notoriously, especially when he was Tessa's age.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, yeah, she fucked up, but I mean, like, I cannot in good conscience say somebody should never work again when they never broke a law, they never really hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens again. I can't get too mad about this.
Yeah. We're gonna move on. I've already covered the Tessa thing a couple of times already. Go to our YouTube channel, check it out. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, comment on the video, and make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. JD, we're like 40 subscriptions away from hitting 2,000. I would really like to get to 2,000.